Depression, by definition, is a mental health disorder characterized by persistently depressed mood or loss of interest in activities causing significant impairment in daily life. Trying to explain depression to someone who has never experienced it is like describing the color blue to a blind man. That's a quote from Waterproof Mascara. And how true is that? You can't. You cannot explain depression to someone who has never experienced it. Take Off the Mask is a campaign originated after the publishing of Waterproof Mascara. The purpose to write Waterproof Mascara burned me in my dreams. It taunted me even. For years I'd been told, "Girl, you need to write a book. You can write a book with all these stories." Some were inspiring, sure, but others humbling and extremely humiliating. I was absolutely terrified, scared out of my mind to not only attempt at writing something decent enough people would be interested in reading, but also to share something personal, of fear of vulnerability or scrutiny. I was afraid to tell my story. I started writing Waterproof Mascara 4 years before I got serious about writing it. After that, it took about 6 months. Published. I was manic. I'll never forget the moment I knew that this was more than I could concept. I broke down and I put pen to paper. I was in the car, riding shotgun, speeding down an interstate in Alaska. I grabbed a pad from the luggage on the floorboard and wrote every thought about every emotion flushing around in my head. I continued to write until I was finished. I had to get it out. I had to. I had no one I felt vulnerable enough to turn to for guidance, strength, empowerment. No one could give me advice. They had a difficult time empathizing. I didn't understand why. I didn't understand what was so off balanced. I just kept going, living an unbelievably epic life of adventure laced in turmoil until I dropped my basket. The amount of stress I was undergoing became more than I was mentally able to process healthily. When you think of depression, one doesn't normally associate it with someone you know or love, much less yourself. My depression swallowed me whole. I lost all ability to take care of my own basic needs. I wasn't able to get out of bed. The weight of life, along with just circumstances I was undertaking, became too heavy for me to hold, and my brain went numb. I couldn't function. Everyone around me knew I was drowning, but no one knew how to help me, so they just ignored it. I went a little over 3 weeks without showering. I didn't brush my hair. I couldn't bring myself to brush my teeth. I wore the same jeans and hoodie repeatedly, day after day, begging anyone to reach out and remind me how to stand. Show me how to balance and regain my strength, my inner worth. I lost the ability to feed myself. I lost the ability to look at my reflection in the mirror and see past the darkness depression had painted over my shine. I was blank, blank and unimportant, unnecessary, a burden. I made it to the peak of hypomania when I felt this life was better without me in it. My children could have a better life without me in it. I had a plan. My legs are covered in scars from razor blades demanding I show emotion. Anything. Fight, Casey, fight. Get up. You must get up. You must conquer this. You must. Years of therapy, including a mental vacation to the psych ward, concluded that this would be a battle. I would need to be prepared to fight every day, taking each and every day as it came, one single day at a time, sometimes taking it hour by hour. My recovery started with steps so small and minute, but yet so vital to my stability. My therapist gave me an assignment to call and leave her a voicemail each time I took a shower. A shower! Something so overwhelming to think about having to undertake, yet so invigorating to experience. Stepping into the warmth of the water streaming from the overhead, washing my filth and sadness away, relaxing me, holding me with its cleanliness and peace. Solitude. I can remember the first shower after our understanding. I stepped on the ceramic floor as the warm water poured down over me, thinking, why? Why don't I do this more often? This is wonderful. Then I sat down, knees to chest, and I cried and I cried and I cried until I had no more tears left to produce. The shower engulfed my humiliation, cradling me in an umbrella of camouflage that would hide my weeping as a good soul cleansing. Slow and steady, my record of going showerless started to decrease. I began bathing twice a week, then 4 days a week, then every other day. Before I knew it, I was taking the extra step of blow drying my hair, then shaving. I stabilized a routine of brushing my teeth, and sure enough, one day I found the energy to do my makeup, coordinating my outfits. I didn't realize others took notice until they began to compliment me on my style, something I had forgotten that I had. I learned to own those compliments, accept them. People don't come up to you and tell you, those are great shoes, or your hair looks great today, if they're not true. I, for one, I'm not going to waste my time to personally go to a stranger and hand out false compliments. Accepting those simple statements had to be the most uncomfortable redirection of mental filtration I needed to learn to direct. Owning and accepting my self-worth, no matter how flawed I saw myself. My junior year of high school, my Spanish teacher presented me a challenge I never forgot. Yet, I didn't apply to my life until this point. The point I figured it couldn't hurt to give it a shot. Naked, I stared at myself in the mirror. I stood there, ashamed in all my glory, mandating myself to find one thing about myself that made me beautiful. Any one thing. Find one thing that you love about yourself physically, day in and day out. Each time I stood in front of that mirror, I forced myself to find one more thing to add to the list of my uniqueness. No matter how big or how small the physical attribute was, one more thing to place on the list of why I mattered and what I had to offer. Change the Face of Depression is an annual event where stylists and photographers can come together to host a convention for those that are suffering from depression. The variety of art perspectives will enhance the opportunity to show beauty in a multitude of forms, giving them the gift of life, once again, with a photo shoot and a mini makeover. I feel honestly, if this was something offered to me during my darkest days of depression, it would have made a great impact on my recovery. Something so simple, yet so important. In order to fall in love with life, I needed to fall in love with myself first.